premiership.
Hello, welcome to Access All Areas. A good weekend of football and Damien Barrett. Unless something happens to Essendon's premiership points, it looks as though the top 8 is set in stone.
Yeah, it is from a win-loss perspective, Darcy, isn't it? But the unknown is, as it has been for some time, what the AFL Commission determines to do in this Essendon Asada investigation. And we're going to get an answer on that in the next 24 hours, possibly as soon as this afternoon.
OK, expecting some news today.
Some news. I mean, it's still going to have a place where Essendon has the right to have 14 days to respond to what the AFL says about it. And as we know, it's going down the legal path, Darcy, one way or another. But this afternoon, and if not this afternoon, first thing tomorrow, by way of AFL reference to the Essendon saga.
I feel like the Bombers are cooked anyway, Damo. It's finally caught up with them. I'm staggered that they have been able to produce as well as they have done on field this season. It's been
3 in a row now, Das. Losses.
Yeah, and unprecedented amount of off-field pressure. James Hird's ability to stand up, doorstep more than the Prime Minister at the moment, James Hird, and I think he's been absolutely incredible. But it gets you eventually. I mean, all that distraction, all the stress, all the speculation, all the innuendo. There's no coming back from Essendon now. Once you're gone, Damo, you hit the wall. You can't turn it around.
There's no coming back now,
there's
regardless of what happens.
No, absolutely not. I just feel as though they're spent, and you just can't pick your energy back up once it's been taken away from you.
A club that looked like it was making up numbers from a premiership perspective, Das, as recently as 6 weeks ago, Collingwood, have they got themselves into the premiership conversation at least?
I think they have. I saw them live Saturday night in Sydney. It was one of the great wins, Damo. I thought they were absolutely incredible. Their midfield, against the hardest working midfield, in my opinion, in the game, the Sydney Swans. Well, Pendlebury, Swan, Beams, Ball and the like, absolutely
Beams is so crucial. I know it's obvious, but the more you watch him play, he's the key to what happens.
You forget, you don't, but the Copeland Trophy winner from last year, 32 possessions, he just wins the footy, he gets forward, he sets up plays.
So can win the flag even if they don't finish top 4?
Look, I've always one that thinks you have to be inside the top 4 to have a legitimate chance, but they are back in the conversation, Collingwood, and they're getting right at the right time. We understand Dale Thomas might play a part in the next couple of weeks, so they will do some serious damage if they don't win it.
Darcy, you've got a soft spot for the big man, and you call it when you see it. You called early Brodie Grundy. You like him, Darcy.
I don't want to say I claimed him, Damo, but I did. Brodie Grundy, he is going to be a great player for this club. This is his 3rd game of AFL football. What he's got going for him is aggression, strength, ability to follow up at ground level, and this, Damo, that is something you can't teach, is that understanding of how the art of ruck work works. He's up against 2 premiership ruckmen in Pike and Mummy, Shane Mumford, who are massive, massive men. Not intimidated at all. I loved his work rate. I thought it was a brilliant game. They found one there.
OK, Darren Jolly does is that he's playing this game, Grundy, because Jolly's injured. Do you just make the call now that Jolly's days are finished?
Well, a bit too early for me. I think Jolly's too important still. I know he's got some dramas with his knee. Didn't play.
Is there room for both of them?
Yeah, he needs some backup. He battled incredibly well.
He took on Mumford and Pike.
Yeah, across 4 quarters, but he'll run out of gas too. He needs a little bit of support, and I think there's a role for a fit Darren Jolly if they can get him up and running. Tom
Hawkins, stars, incredibly, is going to finish the season with 50 thereabouts goals. Can't bend over though. Look at this. This back injury is a real problem.
Yeah, it is. It's a real worry. Yeah, that there you can just see the grab. Oh, I don't want to bend over because my back is in all sorts. I mean, I think it's been a brave effort to play with it, but again, I feel as though this premiership race has closed down because there's real doubt about Hawkins' ability to stand up in a final with his back. There's doubt about the Sydney Swans a little bit. I think they showed that they are beatable as well. Hawthorn have got a few problems as well. So a few dramas. The coach wasn't all that happy though, Damo, Chris Scott, about the crowd down at Geelong, and this is what he had to say about them booing their gun forward, Tom Hawkins.
I heard some of our supporters almost come out with the Bronx cheers.
I was filthy on that.
Oh, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for all of Geelong. We've got some pretty ugly supporters, if that's the case. They've been well looked after for a long period of time, and we expect better.
Well looked after for a long period of time. Pretty strong words from Chris Scott. And I like it. I mean, supporters are entitled to do what they like. Doesn't mean as an industry we should accept it. So well said to Chris Scott. The Carlton Football Club we need to talk about, Damo. We've done that a bit in the last couple of weeks, but this is a tactic they've been going with. The barrel Bootsma gets good purchase on it, but this ended up in a goal. He kicked 3 torps, 2 of them were goals. One of them was a chest mark to the western border.
He gets onto all of them, Das, which is an interesting exercise in itself. But you're saying that even though that's cleared the centre from the kick out, that it's not the right way to go.
I'm a fan of the torp, Damo. I think it's a tactic that we should explore a little bit more often, but it's probably more your surprise tactic rather than your go-to kick every time. And I think maybe just overdone a little bit. You've got to have a change-up kick. at times. Just didn't come off from the weekend. I wouldn't throw it out altogether.
Yeah, same game. Jared Grant does kicked 4 goals and just looked really, really good. Looked like the top 10 draft pick that he was all those years ago.
The man they call Spindleshanks, who's an unusual shape for an AFL footballer. Massive credit to Brendan McCartney and the Bulldog coaching staff. They've sent him down to the VFL for a dozen weeks.
Was VFL reserves at one stage?
Yep, and they've reprogrammed him. They just said, if you want to play the game of AFL football, you've got to work on your chasing, you've got to work on your defensive efforts, you've got to understand the role that you've got to play for the team. They've completely...
So it's a complete road program.
Absolutely. Yep. They just said, throw out everything you've done in the past.
To his credit, he's responded.
Absolutely. He has now got a big future and he plays a really important role for the Bulldogs. It's the forward they needed. They had him sitting there. They just needed to reteach him, and great credit to the staff for doing it.
Saints finished 9th last year, Das. Only missed out on the 8 by a couple of games. This year they've won only 3 matches to this point. I want you now to have a really hard, critical look at what they've got to do with their list. Chris Pelkin is going to reshape this list. We've got 10 names up here. I want you to go through them and I'll raise them. You tell, should they keep, trade or retire? We'll start with Jason Blake.
You like putting me under the pump, don't
I'll just go for it, Das.
I think Jason Blake's time's up. I'm a big fan of Blakey, but I think he should retire.
Yep.
And retire will be the right word. No problems there.
Nick Del Santo.
Got to keep Nicky Dow. Got another year of his contract. Still good enough to keep playing.
Sean Dempster.
All-Australian 12 months ago. Fills a role for the side. He has to stay.
Fisher.
He needs a big pre-season. He needs to reprogram himself, but he's got to stay.
Lenny Hayes.
I think Lenny's just about had enough. One of the all-time greats of the St Kilda Football Club. But I think Lenny will see for himself that it's probably time for him to move on.
Finished, okay. Clint Jones.
Yeah, still rate Clint Jones. They need a hard-working midfielder who can tag and play run with roles. So good, Jones stays.
We'll move from Jones on to Kazitsky.
Kosie's had enough. I think get him his 200 games. He deserves that. But Kosie will move on to bigger and better things.
Milne.
Yeah, Milne likewise. I think he's been an unbelievable player. They've had a great year of the St Kilda team, but I'm not sure Milne has got a lot more to offer next year.
Revolt.
Been unbelievable, has to stay. They've got to keep his knee sound and they need at least another 12 months.
Yep, and Schneider.
Kicked 3 goals in the last quarter last week. It was probably their only shining light. Young enough and good enough to still continue on, but he stays.
So you're retiring the 4 guys who I think most people do expect to retire, and you keep all the others. You're not going to get involved in any discussion with GWS to maybe try and get this Tom Boyd #1 pick that is on offer?
You would if you could, but I think the guys that you're talking about there are probably not in the market where you've got enough value to actually get anything out.
What if you use the own pick 3 they've got with a Nick Del Santo, just to get the conversation going? Do you still need something else as well?
I'm big on you throw everything you can at gun key young forwards, and Tom Boyd, we understand, is a star. You throw everything you possibly can without destroying the fabric of your club
to use.
Yeah, but the kid you want is a forward that maybe you get for the next 12 years that changes your club. Their list needs a massive overhaul. If they can find a way to get access to pick one day, mate, I would do it.
Okay. Das, you're big on goal umpires getting involved in the play for the wrong reasons. This happened in the West Coast Essendon game yesterday. We'll just watch it here, and before we realise what happened, we'll need a replay to see how this goal was scored by West Coast. It's bounced off the goal umpire.
Can anyone explain to me why goal umpires are in the field of play?
No.
Get off the ground. What are you doing there, mate? I'm sorry. Someone's instructed you that you've got to straddle the line, but surely common sense says when you've got 4 100 kilo plus big men flying for the ball, that ain't the place to be. Ball comes off goal umpire's shoulder, play on. In the end, it doesn't mean a lot in the context of the game.
Yep.
They can't stand there, Damo. Get them off the ground. What is happening?
And goal awarded. Das, crowd invasion, story of the State of Origin Rugby League a couple of weeks ago. We had an incident yesterday. Same gentleman, 3 minutes apart. This is the last quarter. As you can see, the time clock, 3:22 to go. Taken off the ground by 2 security guards. And yet, 3 minutes and 8 seconds later, he's back on the ground, Das.
At least the positive is he had his clothes on, Damo, unlike the State of Origin. I'm not sure how that works. Not a big fan of the pitch invader, Damo. I think it's a dangerous precedent. Get the man off. A $7,000 fine coming your way.
Or maybe times 2.
How he got back in 3 minutes is beyond me. That's something unusual. Thank you, Damo. That's it for another edition of Access Hilarious. Keep coming back to afl.com.au throughout the day. Damien Barrett telling us that maybe the Essendon supplement scandal will continue in a big way today. Thanks once again for joining us. We'll catch you next week.